Well, unfortunately for you, I ask the questions. But my point is that people like me who want to work in America or live in America have to go through a very laborious legal process. Everyone knows that. And when we ultimately get our visas, we're called illegal aliens. So, when it comes to dehumanizing, you can sort the language out on that to start with.
It's not often that Piers Morgan takes the lead and just completely goes after one of the guests on his show, unless it's like Cenk Uygur or something like that, right? He typically will kind of stand to the side and let his guest duke it out and debate. But in this one, he makes an exception when Joanne Carducci, who defends Selena Gomez when Selena Gomez filmed herself crying the other day over Trump's deportations, which, if I might add, is not happening fast enough. We need Donald Trump to ramp up the numbers on these deportations because we have tens of millions of individuals that need to be deported over the next 4 years, and the current pace that he's on is not nearly fast enough. But that aside, let's go ahead and take a look at Piers Morgan debating Joanne Carducci.
Actually, Trump does have an undeniable, incredible mandate. He won the Electoral College, the popular vote, the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. It is what is called in politics a clean sweep. And you on the left, with all due respect...
He's also lost all of those things. The first one to ever do that, Piers. He's also lost all of those things. The first one to ever do that.
But at some point, I think in the process of Democrats trying to somehow regain some credibility, you are going to have to just accept you've got a complete shellacking. You're just going to have to. And then you're going to have to work out how you're going to somehow get back at Trump in a way that doesn't involve just endless screaming. As we're speaking, Selena Gomez, right? I'm going to play you a clip. This is exactly what I'm talking about the kind of ludicrous hysteria that the left seem to specialize in, fueled by liberal celebrities, that they think works for the public, but actually makes the public laugh at them. Selena Gomez has decided that the correct response to, so far, a bunch of illegal immigrant criminals, including some despicable people, by the way, with despicable crimes, have been deported, that this is the correct response. Let's take a look.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. How many people are getting attacked? Children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but you should know that she almost immediately deleted it because the instant reaction from Americans was to absolutely ridicule this absurdly narcissistic response from somebody trying to make this all about her, weeping for people, in some cases I've seen, rapists and murderers. What is she crying about?
In some cases, like right here in my state, it was a U.S. citizen and veteran, Piers, that was also detained without a warrant at his place of work. So, I mean, if you want to talk about the rapists and criminals that are being detained, but you're just going to not refer to those situations as well, we're not really painting a full picture. And I want to just stop really quickly on the emotion that she expressed there. We are traumatizing our society as we speak. We are traumatizing our children. There are kids in my town where I live. My kids are almost 12 and 15 years old, and they ask me every day. My friends want to know when their parents are going to be taken, and will they have to go too? And if they don't go, who will take care of them? There was a video that went around my town last night that children here thought was real of ICE coming and taking kids out of their homes.
Let me ask you.
Let me ask you.
Okay.
Quickly, before Piers says his part, I just want to ask the question, what is wrong with these parents? Why do they subject their children to these extreme political issues? Because to me, it just seems like borderline child abuse. You're robbing the innocence of your children by subjecting them to this type of stuff. I gotta say, since it's gotten to this point, you just gotta be honest with your children. Then say, look, they're gonna be deported along with their parents. They're not gonna be separated. Maybe say your goodbyes. Because their parents broke the law getting into this country, and there's repercussions for breaking the law. That's why you yourself needs to follow the law as you grow up. I don't know. It just seems like the level of entitlement has gone completely off the charts with these people to the point where they just don't even understand what they're doing.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. Okay, Jojo, let me ask you. So do you believe then that it is entirely correct and proper that illegal immigrants who've entered the country illegally and are then criminals who've broken the law, that they should be allowed to stay? And what about the million people who've already been processed for deportation under the Biden administration but weren't actually deported? Would you keep them as well? In other words, for you, is there no limit to what people can do? They can come in illegally, they can break the law with impunity, they can be processed for deportation, but still you want to keep them in America. Well, what are you saying? It's important to clarify it.
Well, I never said that, but I never said that at all. In fact, I will say that, first of all, my father was an immigrant who came here lawfully from Lebanon, worked for 50 years for the Department of Defense, believed in a shining city on a hill. I would also say that if we're going to have that converse, I believe that, by the way, there's much reform to be made to the immigration process in this country. If I were an expert on that, I'd have a very different job. I'm not. I will say that it needs to be done and needs to be addressed. But if we're going to have the conversation about consequences and rule of law, then we need to have that conversation about somebody sitting on your panel right now who was a January 6th insurrectionist and was pardoned for his crimes. So if you're going to thread the needle on what is acceptable in terms of allowing crime and what is not acceptable in terms of allowing crime or forgivable in terms of allowing crime because of the color of someone's skin or the status of their citizenship, then I don't think this is a conversation about the rule of law at all.
Okay, but just to be clear, because you haven't answered the question, would you let illegal immigrants who break the law?
Do I think that people should be able to? No, I don't. I don't think anyone should be able to break the law in this country and have no consequences for it. I do think that there are other ways to handle immigration rather than rounding people up in their elementary schools or going to their places of work or showing up at the groves where they're picking the citrus fruit that none of us will pick. And so that whole thing we don't even have half the citrus crops we used to have because no one will pick it. Do I think that they should be able to commit crimes willy-nilly? No, I don't think anybody in this country should be able to do that. But do I think dehumanizing them by putting it on TV with Dr. effing Phil is the way to do it? No. We've seen this playbook before, Piers. Everyone on this panel knows we've seen this playbook before. This is how you dehumanize people so that you can get clear the path towards atrocity. Okay, and I'm not on board with that.
Let me ask you my favorite. All right, before I go to Brandon to respond, do you know my favorite question for my liberal friends is who was the biggest deporter of them all? Who deported more illegal immigrants than any president in history, pro rata, per year?
You're going to say Barack Obama, right? You're going to say Barack Obama.
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying it for any reason other than it is Barack Obama. He deported over 3 million illegal immigrants in 8 years.
Did he have Dr. Phil do it on TV?
I don't really care whether Dr. Phil is there or not. My point is, the greatest deporter of all, the man who earned the moniker of deporter in chief in Mexico, was actually a Democrat president, Barack Obama. And I don't remember people like you screaming about how inhumane it all was when that was going on. In fact, most liberals I know have no idea, A, that he deported 3 million people, or B, that he was the deporter in chief.
Why?
Anyway, I mean,
because he didn't turn it into a reality show. It wasn't designed to dehumanize them. Because he didn't make it into a prop and cops and reality TV. It wasn't the Hunger Games or Running Man. That's why. You don't think this is dehumanizing them, Piers? Do you support that? Let me ask you a question, Piers. Do you support them being dehumanized? I think when you try and say that nobody,
I think when you, no, I don't agree with anyone being dehumanized, but I do agree with illegal immigrants.
That's what's happening, is it not?
In any country being thrown out, yeah. Because by the way, I have to go through a very vigorous process. Well, unfortunately for you, I ask the questions. But my point is that people like me who want to work in America or live in America have to go through a very laborious legal process. Everyone knows that. And when we ultimately get our visas, we're called illegal aliens. So, when it comes to dehumanizing, you can sort the language out on that to start with. Let me go to Brandon. Brandon. I mean, it was interesting there that Jojo, she's so far whacked Geraldo ad hominem, and she's gone for you as well. Just to remind people who may not know, what was your crime for which you were convicted on January 6th?
Right. Well, a few points that I think are important to let your audience know. Number one, I never entered the Capitol on January 6th. I stood outside of the east side of the building for 8 minutes shooting a video. I didn't engage in any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction, nor did I witness any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction. Nobody was rioting on the side of the building that I was on. I stood outside of the building for 8 minutes shooting a video of people walking through the open doors of the Capitol, and then I uploaded that video to Twitter. And because of that, 2.5 weeks later, I was raided by the FBI, put in handcuffs and taken to jail and charged with numerous felony charges by the Biden DOJ, and ultimately took a misdemeanor plea deal. I'd love to ask JoJo why she's so traumatized by people who come into our country illegally who get removed, but not so traumatized when people who trespass on the Capitol grounds are raided by the FBI and thrown in jail. Why are those raids not upsetting to you?
Exactly. And I wanted to include that last little part to give Brandon Straka an opportunity to defend himself, because she accused him of being this person that got pardoned by Donald Trump that should still be in jail because of the crimes that he committed, you know. And it's just so funny because she doesn't find that dehumanizing, and she kept using this whole excuse of, oh, it's dehumanizing to deport somebody who illegally broke into the country. How is that dehumanizing? I don't understand that. If by her definition, arresting somebody for DUI and throwing them in jail, or pulling somebody over and giving them a speeding ticket for breaking the law, is dehumanizing as well, which isn't. It's just consequences for your actions. We have laws. You break the laws, you suffer the consequences of those actions most of the time, right? The problem is people like her, they have to be so extreme with their definitions to try to counter Donald Trump, right? That's their ultimate goal, is they have to counter Donald Trump at all costs. It's a requirement of the cult, basically. And frankly, I'm going to be real with you. I don't give a shit if it is dehumanizing. These people broke into our country illegally. I don't care if they have kids. Their kids can go back with them. It's plain and simple, and it's really easy. And the funny thing about this whole Selena Gomez crying is the fact that she had to turn on her phone, make sure she was live, filmed herself crying, these crocodile tears. And it's just all a load of crap, right? And like Piers said, she was basically laughed into oblivion and deleted the video shortly after, which is great. That's what I love about the free speech platforms on X and stuff like that, is the good ideas are allowed to rise and shine, whereas these bad ideas, these morons, when they do stupid things, they get exposed and their bad ideas fall to the bottom and they're crushed from oblivion, and people are allowed to witness it with their own eyes and experience these things. And that's what the Democrat Party and these Democrats themselves just don't understand, is that the more they cope and they resist Trump, the further and further they push themselves onto the wrong side of history. Because what's going on in America right now is that people have their own eyes and ears, and they're able to witness these good ideas rise and these bad ideas fall. And it's the same playbook from these Democrats over and over and over again, to the point where it's so recognizable that we can laugh these stupid things like Selena Gomez filming herself crying in a complete virtue signal attempt to try to somehow, well, I don't even know what she was trying to do. I don't even want to speculate, but try to defend illegals from being deported, because it's a joke. And the American people see it. And so as the Democrat Party digs their heels in and they cope the way that they have, and they continue to blame Donald Trump, like even in this conversation, she's like, yeah, he was the first president to lose the House and the Senate. Well, you know what? He came back 4 years later and he won the presidency, won the House, won the Senate. And that's because the American people demanded it. The American people were tired of Democrat leadership failing us over and over and over again. They're tired of the mainstream media and mouthpieces like you leading us in the wrong direction and lying to our faces. And you guys just don't get it. So anyways, I'm all for it, like I've said in the past, because the longer they maintain the status quo, the better off the Republican Party, anybody non-Democrat, is going to be in 2028. When we have to redo this whole thing again, right, and elect a new president. And I'm looking forward to these next 4 years of Trump delivering win after win after win, like he has so far, and then another 8 years under a non-Democrat Republican leadership, and just let this Democrat crap just fizzle away. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video, and I'll remind you, you can catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And also, if you want to join the Discord, the link is down below in the description. Other than that, thank you so much for watching to the end. That helps me out so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.